From Studio 3B in New York, here again is Jane Pauley.
Air travel may still be the safest way to go, but the air traveler's sense of security has been tested of late. Most recently last weekend, when hijackers were able to get an axe on board an Ethiopian Airlines jet before it crashed into the sea. Terrorists put a bomb aboard Pan Am 103. And now comes word of the latest FBI scenario for the crash of TWA Flight 800. A saboteur may have tampered with the jet. Following that crash, many airports around the world tightened security. How could a terrorist get through now? As a result of a 3-month hidden camera investigation, Dateline discovered it may be no more difficult than landing a job at an airport. Tonight, Chris Hansen shows us just how close a terrorist could get.
Look at all this.
You're looking at the cockpit of a jet airliner at New Jersey's Newark International Airport. And the man taking these pictures with a hidden camera has no business being here. He's an intruder, yet he was able to roam freely through airplanes, along tarmacs, and through baggage and cargo areas. This at a time when you'd think security would be at an all-time high, and when any lapse could lead to disaster. Brian Jenkins is an internationally recognized expert on terrorism.
I believe that the terrorist threat to the United States now is real, and it is high.
Jenkins is a member of the Vice President's Commission on Aviation Security and Safety. Formed in the aftermath of the TWA Flight 800 disaster, the commission investigated virtually every aspect of airline safety. One of its key findings, the need for better screening and more extensive background checks for airport employees.
Where security begins to break down is with the insider who will provide information to the adversaries, who will be a confederate of the adversaries, or in fact, maybe the adversary himself or herself. The biggest threat comes from the insider. That's always the case.
Would it be possible for a terrorist to become an insider, to get a job as an airport employee and infiltrate the ranks of those who service and protect U.S. airliners? During a 3-month investigation, Dateline decided to test the system by sending 2 producers undercover to apply for airport jobs. How easily could they get hired? And could they gain access to secure areas? You may be concerned, as we were, that by doing this, we might be providing a how-to manual for terrorists. But the Federal Aviation Administration's own airport security video makes it clear that terrorists already know where the weaknesses are.
Terrorist groups are organized. They could get their agents hired by a service that gets them proper IDs and access to the aircraft.
Our producers applied for jobs at 2 of the world's biggest airports, Newark in New Jersey and Hartsfield in Atlanta. We made up fictitious work histories, and we set up phone lines and answering machines to see if anyone would check our producers' references. With only one exception, no one bothered. At Newark Airport in New Jersey, our Dateline producer was hired on the spot. No references checked by Ogden Aviation, one of the largest airport service companies in the country, providing security, baggage handling, and food services at almost every airport in the United States. Jobs that give its employees access to the most sensitive areas of airports.
When could you start? We need you to start as soon as possible. Tomorrow?
But wait a minute. The FAA regulations are very clear. Before a company can hire someone to work in a secure area of an airport, the company must review 10 years of the candidate's employment history. It must also verify in writing or by phone the last 5 years. But when Dateline applied for work, that didn't happen at all. No attempts were made to check our producers' references.
I walk in and 5 minutes later I have a job. This is great.
You were lucky. You were lucky, hon.
He was issued this company ID, which in an airport can be a passport to places you would never imagine. Although he was specifically hired to drive this electric car, within 2 days he was asked to work at the security checkpoint, hand-checking bags.
I'm going to check this, okay, sir?
He was supposed to be trained, but instead was left in the dark. He even warned other airport workers that he didn't know what he was doing.
But I haven't even been trained.
This airline supervisor didn't seem surprised.
Had me already opening bags and going through it all.
That must have been shorthand.
This supervisor offered obvious advice.
I haven't been trained on what the heck to look for.
Well, anything in this case, if there's a weapon in there, well, I would assume you would know what maybe what a pistol looks like.
A pistol,
Yeah.
weapon, okay.
And when he told this Port Authority policeman, the officer joked with us that our producer may be up to no good.
Right away, you're looking for drugs. You can put anything in the bag.
That's right. Can you take your coat and follow me? I'm going to do a hand inspection.
And he went to his own supervisor with his concerns. Instead of getting him the proper training, she told him to keep his mouth shut.
Everybody's not supposed to know that you weren't in training. Don't worry about it.
In many other countries, airport security workers are highly paid professionals. Many actually work for the government. You might be surprised to know that most of the people working at security checkpoints here in the U.S. are minimum wage workers with no previous security experience, and the turnover rate is enormous.
The pressure is to get another human being into that post. Not to wait for a background check, not to wait for any type of criminal check, not to have to go through any type of training process, but basically to get another warm body in that particular post.
When we went to Atlanta Hartsfield Airport, it was the same story. Our producer was hired this time as a baggage handler with no references checked.
You're going to work this bag room today, okay?
All right.
And who is he employed by? Turns out his first offer came from Ogden, the very same company who employed him in New Jersey just 1 week before. Another Dateline producer was hired in Atlanta by a food catering company, Dobbs International. The company went beyond FAA regulations and called to check one of her references. Within a week, she was being trained on the job.
I just put the water in there. Okay. Where do these go?
But there was something else that happened here in Atlanta once we were hired by Dobbs that alarmed us. Our producers, like all Atlanta airport workers, must take a security test. One producer asked the Dobbs supervisor of new trainees if the test was important.
Is that serious?
Airport security? Yeah, that's serious.
Serious enough that applicants can't start their jobs until they pass the test. We found that wasn't a problem, though. This supervisor admits that she routinely helps trainees cheat by giving out the answers before the test.
I've been up there in front of the manager of security 3 times too many because I be helping them with the test. And you get people that say something about it. You know, people that I give the answers to.
What you're going to do now is go upstairs.
And a supervisor at Ogden, the other company that hired us, told our producer he too could get help with the test if he needed
If
it.
you got any problems with it, you don't know an answer, ask the instructor. They'll tell you the answer.
They'll tell us the answer just like that?
It's easy.
What do the authorities think about this? Angela Gittens is the head of aviation for Atlanta Hartsfield Airport.
One of our employees was given the answers in advance to the test that those employees are required to take. Is that appropriate procedure in your opinion?
No, absolutely not. Why would I try to justify something that doesn't make sense?
Dobbs, the company whose supervisor encouraged cheating on the test, declined to be interviewed. One person who helps workers cheat on a security test could be an isolated incident. But if you think just one person couldn't be a threat, think again.
The best technology in the world cannot defeat bad people if those bad people are part of the system.
And we saw that firsthand as part of the system. Remember our employee in Newark, hired without training or reference checks, working security? He was assigned to search carry-on bags. We wondered if 2 people working together, as terrorists often do, could sneak a weapon or explosives past a security checkpoint in a carry-on bag. In this case, a bag carried by a second Dateline employee. Watch what happens when our undercover producer goes to inspect it. Supervisors were present, but how well were they supervising?
Yeah, they check. I'm gonna check
All electronic devices like this radio and this laptop computer are supposed to be turned on to make sure they are what they appear to be. But in reality, he checks nothing and deliberately clears them through security. Had these 2 been terrorists, it would be mission accomplished. What does the Federal Aviation Administration